And so today, let's just kind of clear the slate. Can we just clear the slate for a second? Can we put like our reality just like on the shelf for just a moment? Like what you think you know about hearing God, whether you think you hear him or not, whether he loves you more than that person or he loves them more, like all the things. Let's just for a second, just put what we think we know about hearing God right there. And let's just dive in with ears to hear and eyes to see, because I really think that he's going to speak to you today. And so when doubt creeps in, we just kind of continue to come back to this place. Welcome to Free to Dream podcast. Join me as we dive into what truly means to dream with God as we create uninhibitedly and live unapologetically. Are you free? This is the Free to Dream podcast. Welcome to Free to Dream podcast. My name is JG, or for those of you who don't know me, I'm Julia Gentry, and I am so glad that you are here today. This is going to be a really, really good episode. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. And for those of you who are junkies, you know who you are. I won't judge, right? Here at Free to Dream Podcast, we say binging these episodes is okay. It is recommended. But sometimes we forget what is this podcast for and why am I tuning in? Here's the truth. Your level of dreaming is directly connected to your level of freedom. And so everything we do here on this podcast is to ensure that you look good with freedom all over you. Because here's the thing. Most people are free, right? If you're a believer, you are free in the Lord. Thank God for salvation. Can I get an amen? But very few are actually living like it. Maybe you can relate. You've been set free, but you are still walking around like you stuck on a struggle bus. And let's be honest, that is not kingdom living. It's not what my Bible says. And therefore, it's become my job. It's become my duty, right? My God assigned, mantle carrying, Holy Spirit led. Sometimes I don't even want to do it, but I just keep showing up for you because I feel like it's my duty to make sure that you don't just know that you're free, but you actually walk in it boldly, unapologetically, and sometimes even feeling a little cray-cray. So if you are here today just to kind of like check a box or listen to one more something, play it safe, stay in the boat, anything in between, this is probably not for you. So save yourself, 30, 40 minutes. But if you're really, really ready to break free and you are picking up what I'm throwing down and you no longer want to be stuck in small thinking, cultural norms, limiting beliefs, and you really want to start dreaming, or ultimately you just want to start living free, make heaven come to earth, right? Then you're in the right place. Welcome. It's good to have you. So on today's episode, and actually all month long, talk with my team. This is an all month long theme about just really learning how to hear God. Now, my first question today is, whose voice is the loudest in your life? Oh, that awkward pause. People hate it. I was actually at a board meeting yesterday, and one of our board members was like, JG, I hate your awkward pauses. I love it. Think about it just for a minute, though, because this month we're going to get real quiet, which is the irony of that on a podcast is that generally I'm supposed to fill all 36 minutes of this podcast with no longer than 5-second pauses. Yeah, you hated every minute of that, didn't you? That's 5 seconds. That's a long time. And so what we do is when it gets quiet, we get awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like it truly, research has shown that if you're on an elevator for longer than 5 seconds and it gets quiet, you need to like fill it with, hey, so how you doing? Fifth floor. I'm going to the fifth floor. Breakfast is great. Do you like breakfast? You're like, you don't even care. Nobody even cares about breakfast or the fifth floor. Like nobody cares, but we like the quiet. It like amps us out because like the world is so loud all the time that we just get so accustomed to the chaos. And yet, if you're like me, you're like, I want something different. I need quiet. Like, can someone just stop the chatter that's in my head for 2.5, right? But then we have to stop and take inventory and go, whose voice is the loudest in your life right now? Think about that. Now, I don't know about you, but it's true. This world can be really loud. And even the things that you love can feel overwhelming. I'll admit my struggle bus first. How about I go, you go? Okay. So this last month has been uh, uh, disproportionately chaotic in my mind and my spirit. And I come before you today sharing revelation that was deposited in me 2 years ago, team. And to share that what I'm about to share with you is so alive and deep and rich in my soul because I had to go through the struggle bus again to land on the same thing that God told me 2 years ago. And sometimes that doesn't make us crazy. It makes us human, needing to reroute and realign with God and go back to what He already told us. So, generally, right at the gate, worth the price of admission. You could stop the podcast right now. The last thing God told you is the thing. So, stop looking for the next revelation. Stop looking for the next thing that makes the last thing He said more convenient or easy. Generally speaking, for most of us, it's not that God isn't speaking. He just already told you. And you're like, just keep doing that. And so here I was, though, about 30, 45 days, and my world was getting louder and louder and louder. And I knew all the things to do, right? So I know how I have gotten really good at decluttering my schedule. I love have to meetings, not I don't love, I should say this differently. I love get to meetings. I don't love have to meetings. I used to stack my calendar a mile wide and deep, back to back to back. And I learned it didn't serve me. And so what was interesting about is that I didn't have like a ton of things on my plate, but oh my gosh, it was so loud. And then even in my quiet time with God, I felt like I couldn't hear Him. My house is loud. I have 5 kids. And so generally speaking, like quiet isn't a thing. If you're raising babies, like, okay, you get up earlier, go to bed later, but somehow they find you, even if you're in the bathroom, like all 13 seconds in, they find you. If you're on a walk by the woods, they're there, like kids are like popping up like, boo, boo, boo. You're like, ah. And so, I wish I could tell you that immediately I saw the signs and I dove into all the things I'm going to teach you today, but I didn't. And so I say that because sometimes we just have to fight for the peace, and that has to be okay. Sometimes we have to do hard things, and that will be okay. Sometimes finding the peace is a sacrifice. Sometimes we just have to make it a priority. Sometimes it's awkward until it's awesome. And so if this is you today and it has just all gotten loud, the phone, the email, the meetings, clients, life, peopling, this is for you. And this whole month long, we're going to be talking about this and unpacking it from many different angles because I believe this is one of the most valuable things we can learn as believers. I think it causes us to reset ourselves as we focus on heaven's realities. It actually enables us to do life better. I also think that this won't necessarily always make life easier, but it is going to give it meaning and it is going to give you peace that passes all understanding. And so we're going to do that today. So I come to you today, and obviously all month long, because I want to talk with you about this. And I want to be very clear that God is always speaking. He is in everything. And so I'm just going to start asking you some really simple, stupid, hard questions like, are you listening? Did you know that He is always speaking? Are you listening? Right. And I want to ask these questions because sometimes it's, Tony Robbins says it's the quality of our questions that determines the quality of our answers. And so I'm going to throw some bombs. I'm going to ask you some questions, write them down. And in this quiet space that I'm going to ask you to intentionally carve out, not just in the morning, though this is hugely helpful, all day long. Right. And then I'm going to teach you ultimately how to really hear His voice. So whether you are a full-time parent, right, like you mom it or dad it all day, whether you are running your business, a ministry, you're at a job that you hate, you're just trying to bridge the gap, you are starting your dream, you are living the dream, or anywhere in between, the most priceless thing we can know on this side of eternity is how to hear His voice, how to tune into Him before we turn the world on, how to create just mindful mornings, which ultimately lead to miraculous days, and what to do when your mind just won't shut up. Anyone else ever been there? When it just won't shut up. And it's like the more you do, the louder it gets, and you just need it to shut up. Well, we're going to do all that. So buckle up, Buttercup. It is going to be a good day. This is just the intro. Oh my gosh, the intro. I could just eat the intro. So we're going to do that. So buckle up. Here we go. Now let me ask you first question. Grab your pen and paper, pen and journal. You're like, I'm supposed to get a pen and a journal because we're going to do all that today. If you don't have a journal, you should. Dream journal, team. Dream journal. thejuliagentry.com. Get yourself a dream journal. Do that. But here's my first question to you. Have you ever asked God a question and then you just felt like heaven went silent? Okay. And that's real though, right? That's not just me. Or the more, how about this? The more you want to hear, the more you want to hear God's voice, it feels like the quieter he gets. Or you're seeking him and you're petitioning him on the next thing, the next bold thing to do. And it's as though the more distracted you feel. Just take inventory right now. Where are you at? Right? I want you to take inventory of your schedule. Are you maxing out? I want you to take inventory of hearing God's voice. Do you hear it in the morning? Do you hear it at night? Do you hear it throughout the day? When I say that, that already brings up emotions because some of you feel like, I don't know that I hear God's voice. Now I'm confused. Am I hearing God's voice? Am I hearing my voice? Some of you are like, this bothers me so much because I just want to hear his voice and I feel like I don't. Right? Or I believe God speaks, but I believe he speaks to somebody else. Right? Mike, you're the one that you're like, you prayed, you fasted, you have sought after wise counsel, and still it's like nothing. No clarity, no booming voice. Like he doesn't write it in the clouds, just like silence. Or for some of you, you're like, I hear God's voice. I love this. Keep going. Good. We're gonna go. We're gonna go. How many of you know that there's just different times and different seasons too that God just talks to us in different ways? Oh, it's so good. I've been there. If you're like, you're reading my mail, I know it's because it's mine too. Right. So here's the deal. Here's what I want you to know right out of the gate. It is completely normal to want answers to your questions. It is normal to, especially when life feels chaotic or confusing, to want to hear his voice. And sometimes if I'm not careful, I desire his answer more than I desire him. There's showing my dirty laundry. Like if we're really not careful, it's like, do I want his voice or do I just want his answer? Like, do I want the answer just to check the thing off my list so I can be up and running again? Like, what's the posture? What's my motive, right? Do I want his voice just because I'm so afraid of being wrong? And so I want to hear his voice because I'm rooted in fear. Right? Do I actually see talking with God as a communal thing, as a relationship building thing? That there is a God of this universe who actually wants to talk to me, wants to commune with me, wants me to abide with him. Oh my gosh, isn't it interesting? So here's the deal, like asking questions, there's nothing wrong with it, but the motive of our heart is really interesting. And asking why isn't wrong, but if we're not careful, it starts to open up the doubt to misaligned priorities, unmet expectations, wrong motives. And so today, let's just kind of clear the slate. Can we just clear the slate for a second? Can we put like our reality just like on the shelf for just a moment? Like what you think you know about hearing God, whether you think you hear him or not, whether he loves you more than that person or he loves them more, like all the things. Let's just for a second, just put what we think we know about hearing God right there. And let's just dive in with ears to hear and eyes to see, because I really think that he's going to speak to you today. And so when doubt creeps in, we just kind of continue to come back to this place, right? And so I want to talk with you about why the silence doesn't mean absence and how he is speaking to you, even when we don't hear him the way that we expected. So wherever you are right now, in your car, cleaning your kitchen, on a walk, I just want you to pause and I just want you to take a deep breath. Maybe even close your eyes and pause. Take a deep breath. Feel your breath go from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And ask yourself, when was the last time you did just pause like this? Just paused. I'd like to propose that this pause is one of the most powerful things that you're going to do this week. Because you're going to go back next week because I got more good stuff. But here's what I want you to practice all week long. Pause. I just want you to pause. Do you know that there's power in the pause? There's power in the pause because we're going to go straight to the book of Psalms. David is a is a man after God's own heart, so we learn a lot from him. He's also a man that was not aware of the highs and lows of life. He was not aware of the struggle between here's where I am and here's where God says I'll be. Here's who I think I am, and here's who God's ordained me to be. And then so much of the Psalms, we see David in the midst of the struggle. Like, for those of us who think that we're the only ones on the struggle bus, you haven't read Psalms, right? Like, there's sometimes you can only read so many chapters before you're like, oh my gosh, like he's high and then he's low and then he's high and he's low. And I think that there's just something about David that he had the capacity to share the human condition with the rest of us. And yet he points us to the right framework. And so here's what I want you to know about: oftentimes at the beginning of your journey in dreaming with the Lord, in the middle, at the next phase, in the next chapter, right? Like, we're never done dreaming with him. And even when we accomplish one of the dreams, he's got more, right? We're never done bringing heaven to earth. We're never done seeking his reality and making ours look more like his. We're never done. And in fact, the idea is going to be less about just trying to get there and more about becoming who he's called us to be on the journey to there, right? Like, that's the whole point of this. And ultimately, in order to journey well, we want you free, right? Because the only way that you journey well is to realize that you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so therefore, if I'm not actually walking in freedom today, then I have gotten away from the truth. I've gotten away from his word. And so David, if you read through the Psalms, David is inviting you into his journey of the in-between. And so I want to give you some of this because I want you to journey well. I don't want you just to get there. I want you to be everything that God's created you to be and to reflect his glory to the world around us. Like, that's the point. And so, yes, having a dream is going to be one of the most incredible rides you can be on. And yes, it's going to make life, give it more meaning. And a lot of times it's going to mean more abundance mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, all things. But remember, it is not actually about the destination. It's about your heart. It's about your character. And it's about you reflecting his glory to the world that so desperately doesn't just need a vision Pinterest board. They need an encounter with Jesus. So he uses the dreams that he's given you to create a life that manifests his glory and showcase who he is in the good, the bad, the hard, the beautiful, the ups and the downs. All of it. He uses all of it. So your testimony of just getting there isn't just the testimony that the world needs. They need to see that you have peace in the midst of chaos, joy in the midst of the trial, discipline in the midst of the hard, right? Self-control in the midst of when you want to kind of freak out or turn to the bottle, right? Like, that's the testimony. The testimony isn't just in the pretty dress and the stage moment. The testimony for the world is you're going through hell and you look like heaven. And you're like, I know. Like that to me, right? So some of you are like, I know, but JG, you just don't even understand because you're always so full of faith. Oh my gosh, come sit with me on my couch. This year has been wicked hard. And I don't even mean this calendar year. I mean, like, this last year and a half has been probably one of the hardest seasons that my husband and I have walked in maybe 12 years. And before that, we didn't know any of the stuff we know now. And so that made sense for that to be so hard. So my faith, my joy, my peace, my consistency is my testimony. It is, because there's a lot of results that I don't have in my life. And that is not my testimony right now. My testimony is the abundant life that he promised, that even in the midst of it all, that he would give me joy, peace, patience, kindness, discipline, self-control. That. So if you watch my life, sometimes you're like, wow, it's just easy for you. It ain't easy. And I pray that maybe, just maybe, the testimony of faith will reveal to you, you too. Like, you can do this too. So anyways, David, turn with me to Psalm 55. Here's what he says. 55, verse 4. Back to pause in his presence. That moment, I just got like huge detour. Pause in his presence. So here's what David says in Psalms 55, verse 5. Fear and dread overwhelm me. I shudder before the horror I face. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've had a hard day. I have this week. But does my journal actually read, fear and dread overwhelm me? I shudder before the horror I face? That is not in my journal. Now, there's other things in my journal that would say the struggle is real, but that, like, so David, this is huge, right? Verse 6 says, "So I say to myself, if only I could fly away from all of this, if only I could run away to the place of rest and peace. I would run far away where no one could find me, escaping to a wilderness retreat." Oh man, ever been there before? That might be more, that is what I probably have written in my journal. Like, I just want to get away from here. I don't want to be facing this anymore. I need answers. Like, if I could just run away, I just need rest. I just need peace. I just want to get away where no one else can find me. I want to hide under a rock and I want to escape even to a wilderness retreat, which tells you that he is like in the pit of hell. Because if he wants to go to a wilderness retreat, last I checked, the wilderness is not generally the place that we want to go, but it's an upgrade. So this tells you his state of mind, and maybe you can relate, right? Maybe you are in a place of total overwhelm. It feels too much. Maybe that's because of loss, failure, defeat, or a lack of clarity or vision, right? Whatever that might be for you. But this is real. So what is he showing us in verse 5, 6, and 7? He's showing us that moment that I get to the point where it is loud, the chatter is real. I don't know exactly where to go. I feel like I want to run and hide. And it is a pivotal moment. Here's why this is a pivotal moment. Think about the last time you were in that place and you wanted to run and hide. Where did you go? Oh, yeah, I asked that question. For most of us, here's what we do. I run to the bottle. I run to food. I run to porn. I run to work. I don't just think about running, I run. We dive into something, asking it to give us the thing it was never meant to give us, right? Because we're not actually acknowledging our need, which I think here's what David does. He actually acknowledges his fear. He acknowledges in honesty where he's at. He's like, I got to get away from here. And so what I would like to propose to you is that it's not crazy to feel like you want to run, but where you run matters. Mhm. Maybe we should be okay with the fact that we will have moments in this life that we want to run and hide, and that the world gets really loud and our emails start to get overwhelming and our answers seem to be farther and farther away, and the mental chatter is louder than before and our emotional roller coaster is greater than ever before, and we're looking for an answer, and we have that moment that we want to run and we want to hide, and the question isn't do you want to, but what are you going to do when you want to? Now check out what it says. Pause in his presence. Pause. David says, pause in his presence. Here's what I want to tell you today. When you get to that place, instead of running, instead of hiding, what if you just paused? What if you just paused? What if there's power in the pause? Because here's the deal. Practice makes permanent. So when you get to this moment, if you're not even aware that it's happening, that's going to be step one. You need to be aware when the overwhelm happens, when the loud, when the chatter, when the mindset games, when the enemy throws different attacks at you. You've got to be aware when that moment happens. And then you got to go, oh, there's that moment where I want to run. I want to hide. I want to escape all of this. And my question to you is, what are you going to do in that moment? And I pray this week that you pause in his presence. Do you wake up each morning feeling exhausted, even overwhelmed about the day ahead of you, feeling like you are stuck in the same cycle and you want to get out of it, but you don't know where to start? I get it. I've been there too, and I can tell you firsthand, it doesn't have to be this way. Look, as a mom of 5, an entrepreneur, a speaker who has worked with high-level executives over a decade, I know firsthand how overwhelming life can get. But I know that there has to be a better way, and I've always been relentless about finding a better way. That's exactly why I created my realign course, because real change starts the moment that you and I decide and take control of our day in 15 minutes or less. Come on, you don't not have time for that. In this course, you are going to receive a proven morning routine formula that actually works. Plus, I walk you through the exact steps I use to set my mindset, my heart set, and dream set on the dreams that God's given me. That is on the other side of you clicking a button. The best part, it's completely free. If not now, when? And if not you, who? It's time to arise and align. Sign up for free and start today. I pray that you pause in his presence, because then here's what David says in verse 8. I will hurry off to hide in the higher place, into my shelter, safe from its raging storm and tempest. God confuse them until they quarrel with themselves, destroy them with their own violent strife and slander. Where does he say that he will go? I will hurry off to hide in the higher place. Dude, what's the higher place? Colossians talks about this. Paul in the book of Colossians talks about this. He says, Colossians 3. Colossians 3, verse 2. Yes, feast on all the treasures of the heavenly realm and fill your thoughts with heavenly realities and not with the distraction of the natural realm. Oh, man. David DePaul. David's like, I will hurry off to hide in the higher place, into my shelter, safe from the raging storm and tempest. What does that tell you to do? It tells you to then do exactly what Paul says is feast on all the treasures of the heavenly realm and fill your thoughts with heavenly realities. The reason I need you to pause is because I need you to realize you don't struggle against flesh and blood. What's coming against you, that there is something greater. His name is Jesus, and he is there to fill you with heaven's realities if you'll pause. Will you pause? Pause. Here's what David says, pause in his presence. What does that suggest? It means that even in the midst of fear, overwhelm, horror that David is facing, that God's presence is still there. You're like, he's not there. He doesn't go anywhere. Your awareness does. Oops. Like that sounds judgy, JG. I'm not judgy. I'm just speaking some truth. God doesn't go anywhere. Your awareness does. Your awareness to his presence goes somewhere. Your awareness to his presence is what goes somewhere. When you pause in his presence, I want you to pause and I want to take you a couple deep breaths where you get that oxygen to the top of your head, to the bottom of your feet. Then I want you to start to fill your thoughts with heaven's realities, not with the distractions of the natural realm. You've got to teach yourself how to do this. You have to teach yourself how to do this. This will feel so awkward. This will feel cray-cray. This will feel woo-woo. This will feel like it doesn't work until it does. Here's the deal. You're filling your thoughts with fear and worry and doubt, and it works. So if you fill your thoughts with heaven's realities, what makes you think that won't work? We empower what we believe. We empower what we absorb, right? We empower whatever we continue to think on over and over and over and over again. So the idea here is just change the subject matter. It's exactly what David does. So he pauses, then he declares, I will hurry off to hide in a higher place. Go hide in heaven's realities for a minute. Why? Because when I start to think like heaven's realities, I start to feel heaven's realities. And when I feel heaven's realities, I actually start to move as heaven moves. And when I move like heaven moves, I bring it to earth. Like I literally bring the atmosphere of heaven into my world, and not because it's the easiest thing in the world. It's just the more meaningful thing to do. Oh my gosh, some of us just need to do this. Then if we fast forward to verse 16, David gives us the framework that I'm going to give you today that's going to help everything. Ask me how I know. This changed everything for me 2 years ago. And a good slap in the face from the Lord's truth this last week brought me back to this framework that I can't even tell you. It feels like I got my life back again. He says in verse 16, but as for me, I will call upon the Lord to save me, and I know he will. Talk about faith. I will call upon the Lord to save me, and I know he will. That's where it says, if you're going to ask with the faith of a mustard seed and know that he will. Don't ask and be on the wave of doubt of like, I don't know if he will or he does for someone else. No, it says, I know I will call upon the Lord to save me, and I know he will answer me. And here's your framework I want you to follow. This is simple, team. This is simple. Okay, here's the beauty of this too. What I'm about ready to share in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, go to my website, click the freebies. I actually have this framework written down so you can print it out. So if you're like, I'm driving, I have this, I got you. So click on the link, go find me, go find the freebies on my website and download this PDF because I'm going to give you this framework. I wish that I'd come up with it. I didn't, David did, but I use it, right? Here's what he says in verse 17. Every evening I will explain my need to him. He's talking about God. I will explain my need to him. Every morning I will move my soul towards him, and every waking hour I will worship only him, and he will hear and respond to my cry. Here is your pause moments throughout the day. Every night, you're going to start every night. At the end of your night, You're going to explain your need to God. He is big enough to hear it. He's big enough to handle it. He knows every need before it even comes out of your mouth, but he is blessed by you communing with him and telling him what you need. And not in a place of desperation. This is not why we share our need with the Lord. We don't share our need with him because we're just begging him to hear us. He is a father that might as well be picking you up and putting you on his lap and saying, tell me what you need. So this should feel like the most vulnerable, honorable, joy-filled, sad, happy, beautiful moment. I do this every night when my head hits the pillow. I literally explain my need to him, and not in a place of desperation, in a place of a good daddy wanting to hear what I have to say, that he actually wants to hear my need. Then you fall asleep, casting all of your cares onto the Lord because he does care. Then you wake up, and every morning I will move my soul towards him. Your soul. Note that doesn't say my spirit man. Why? That implies that the soul and the spirit are two totally different things. Spirit man is the part of you that's already living in the heavenly realms. It is in total alignment with the Lord. It is a part of you that when you die, that is what will go to heaven, right? It is your spirit. Now, you have a soul, and your soul is the piece of you that wants to be seen, known, loved, and valued. And it's the piece of you that generally, when you believe the lie, it like pops out of alignment with the spirit man, right? And it is something that we have to like bring back into alignment. And so when I tell you, and if you're following me at all this month or listening to this, when I say hashtag arise and align, this is what I mean. This isn't just another master your morning routine, though it is. Oh my gosh, it is. This is what I'm meaning, is that too often our minds, hearts, and actions are not in alignment. And it also means that our body, spirit, and soul are not in alignment. And this is what I mean. And so when David is saying, every morning I will move my soul towards him, he's basically saying the piece of me that kind of dips out on God, the piece of me that feels like it needs to hide right over there. And I will hurry up. I got to hide. Like I got to escape this, and hides in alcohol or food or performance or whatever it is that we tend to hide in to be valuable, to feel safe, right? To be more important, right? To be loved. What all the things that our soul does to go chase this artificial significance is only found back in alignment when we literally, on purpose, with intention, move our souls closer to God. Big question here, but when was the last time you moved your soul closer to the Lord? You're like, I don't even know what that means. Yes, you do. You do. Believe me, you do. You will, let me put that, you'll know if you're doing it. You're like, well, I don't know that I ever, then you haven't ever tried. So you should move your soul to him. That literally is where I actually move my entire being to him. And last night, remember, I gave him all my overwhelm. I said, if I could fly away, I would. These are all the things that are on my heart. And then I will hurry off to hide in the higher place, into my shelter, safe from the raging storm. And I'm actually moving my soul to him. And I'm going, soul, you come back into alignment with the spirit. Soul, you come back into alignment with heaven's realities as I feast on heaven's realities, as I fix my mind on truth, as I dive into the word and I start to become it, as I live like it, right? As I step into the reality of my salvation and not just the power of my salvation, then I train myself every waking hour. I will worship him and only him. How many of us are doing this? Here's what I love about David. He's not like, well, I should be strong enough. Well, I'm gonna do this on Sundays. Well, I'm just gonna do this 5 minutes in the morning. Like, I'm only gonna do this in time of worship. Like, David knows better. David knows better. He doesn't just move, right, his needs to God at night. He doesn't just move his soul closer in the morning. He's like, all right, God, I'll see you later. He's like, in every waking hour, I will worship you, Lord, and only you, because I know you will hear me and you will respond to my cry. I would like to propose that when we arise in a line, this isn't a 15-minute morning routine. This is a 24/7. It's a lifestyle of pausing. That moment that you feel joy, pause in his presence. That moment that you feel fear, pause in his presence. That moment that you're like, I got this, pause and be so grateful that he's with you. The moments that you're like, I don't got this, pause and realize he does. And then don't quit this framework. I'd like to propose, if you continue to read, David is saying over and over and over again, pause in his presence, pause in his presence. Look at this. I'm like dying. Pause in his presence. It's all over. It's everywhere in the Psalms. David has trained himself to pause in his presence because he knows the power of recognizing that God is always with him. And so my question to you today is, will you have the courage to pause in his presence, to awaken your mind, heart, emotions, will to the fact that God is with you all the time? And will you prioritize what it takes to discern that he's there? Like, how do I do that? Go outside and put your feet in the grass. Close your eyes and let the sun hit your face. That's God. If you have babies, the next time they're giggling, you put your hands on their cheeks. That's God. The next time someone in your life is winning, that's God. The next time someone is experiencing loss or death, the Lord is still there. His presence is with you all the time. Do we have eyes to see and ears to hear? Here's what I want you to do. I just want you to pause in his presence and to take a deep breath 17 times a day. If that means, right, I've had people who are in a, oh my gosh, in our Arise and Align community who will set alarms on their phone to just remind them. You're like, well, that isn't very spiritual. Well, then for all you spiritual people, you won't need the reminder. But for those of us who are still in training, put a alarm on your phone every hour that just says pause and do it. And don't just pause. You'll even notice you're taking short breaths. Take a deep breath and invite the spirit, the Ruha spirit that lives in you. Invite your awarenesses to see him. Then every night, give him your need. Every morning, move your soul closer to him. And every hour in between, worship him and only him. You want to know how to get that, how to listen to his voice, how to tune out from this loud world? Start tuning into his every hour, worshiping him and only him. When you start to be afraid, you are basically worship is I'm just focused on the fear. That's what worship is. It's my ability to be in awe and reverence of something. And I just pray that it's in awe and reverence of the Lord and what he's doing in that moment. So if you're in fear mode, you're just worshiping the wrong thing, right? If you're in doubt mode, worshiping the wrong thing. Your eyes are probably on circumstances or people, the past, debt, whatever it is. What are your eyes on? David says, worship him and only him. That is when I basically give him the glory in the mystery and in the majesty, in the good and in the hard, the peaks and in the valleys. Some of us, we just want a relationship with God where we are just worshiping him on the mountaintops. That is not actually a relationship. That is hype. So I encourage you today, if the world has gotten really loud, make his presence louder. Tune out and tune in to him. Practice this framework for the next 7 days. Because what have you got to lose? Do you know what I mean? Like, what, you're going to keep doing what you've always done? Because that's the definition of insanity. Start asking yourself, where did I see God today? We learned this when we took our Dream Together ministry down to Guatemala and El Salvador. And one of the groups that we just love, we've partnered with, Huvanet. Every single day at the end of the day, they said, where did you see God today? And that has trickled over into the Gentry household. And so as I fall asleep, a lot of times with 5 babies in my room, and I'm pretty sure my husband's in there somewhere, right? Like, I don't know, there's more kids in this room. Travis, you here? Or as I lay down with them or, tuck them in, I just say, where did you see God today? And Roxy always say, behind me. I'm not scared. Mom's here. God's here. She always says that. But they'll say things like Zion the other night said, I saw God and just holding Roxy's hand on our hike. Malachi said that he saw God when Daddy was rubbing his leg when it hurt so bad one day. Nixon said that he saw God when he was playing gaga ball with his friends. And I said, where did you see God? He said, just in the laughter. It's training our kids and ourselves to see God in everything, to pause in his presence and to realize there is so much power in the pause. So do that this week. That's your goal. Now, again, if you're on that struggle bus, I want you to download that free PDF in the show notes or on YouTube in the links below. And if you really want to lean in and you're like, the process. This is why I created my 15 minutes morning routine to arise and align. It's a free guide. I want to give it to you today. Lean in, use what works, spit out the rest. Use it not as a right? A 10 for 10, it's going to, one size fits all. But if it's a framework that will support you and get you up and running again, then I give you permission to borrow mine until you make your own. And in the meantime, do you quietly pause in the presence of the Lord and continue to tune in to find your freedom, to dream bold, to live big, and to make an impact for the kingdom. Because really, that's the point. So go make it a great week. Live in the pause, embrace it, love it, awkward until awesome. And we will see you next week as we continue to create some mindful mornings, which make miraculous days. Love you guys. See you soon. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Free to Dream podcast. I hope you are leaving on fire and ready to chase your dreams with boldness. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to share this episode with one person who needs it most. And as always, stay tuned in for more conversations every single week that are going to help you live out your God-given purpose, because you belong where you are free.